sir. Can you hear me? Your voice is not audible. Your mouth is moving, but your voice is not audible. Yes, I can hear you, but I can see your mouth moving. No.
You still can't hear me.
Okay, I can hear you now. Sound has been restored.
Okay, so good morning once again for those who didn't hear. My name is Rotimi Eita, and we are going to have a great time today. This is the Good Morning Education Show, and if you can hear now, I'm sure that it's a lot better. I'm actually on the road, but we're going to have a great time all the same. So, wherever you're joining us from, please do let us know. Mention your name, tell us your location, and we'll be excited to recognize you, especially if you're a first time participant on the show. We want our first timers to let us know so that we can appreciate them for joining us for the first time. And of course, along the conversation during the show, please feel free to ask questions if you do have questions. And then, of course, please feel free to join the conversation of the day. And of course, as usual, I would like to recognize people. And I'm seeing a name, Oye Bolaji. So let's just welcome her to the show. I think she's a first timer. Gochi, let's welcome her to the show.
And we hope you come more often. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today will be a great day.
Hello, Gochi, can you hear now?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, so I was saying that we should welcome Onyeko Bolaji to the show.
Yes. I welcomed already. I don't think you heard me that time.
Oh, fantastic. And then Chinonso is also here. Chinonso is our
Welcome,
frequent,
Chinonso.
she's always connecting with us, a very faithful tribe member. Welcome to the show. All right. Like I would ask you, any update or any headline from your end? Go to any update from your end.
I was scanning through the thoughts I had heard, and I think you should lead on that. I've been buried
You've been
in
buried.
studying, so I've not followed what's been said on the news yet.
Okay. So let me say probably would be the best time to just go straight to the conversation of the day. Today we will be speaking on having a productive workforce. Having a productive workforce, and of course, this is very important for those of us who are leading people. It's also important for those of us who actually are the led. We're led by individuals, we're led by people. And the reason is because um, productivity seems to sometimes elude us. Most of the time while we're at work, we mark the hours, we spend the hours, but sometimes nothing to show for it. So that's the conversation for the day. And we've had a kind of similar episode before now, but now we want to spend time to dwell on this subject matter properly today. So for those of us who are joining us, please do let us know once again where you're joining us from. And this is the Good Morning Education Show. So having a productive workforce. Okay, so let's start. When can we call our workforce productive? How do we get our workforce productive? Ugochi, I'd like you to start that.
Okay, we can say a workforce is productive when what we set out to achieve at the beginning, right, is met at the end. And when I say at the beginning, at the end, it means that we need to have a defined time frame. So at the beginning, say at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the year, you've said, okay, these are the things we're going to achieve over this period. And then if at the end of that period, you look back and you can see that in trying to measure, you see that you guys were able to achieve it, or maybe even you even exceeded, then I would say you were productive. I would say you were productive. But for that to happen, you have to be deliberate about putting systems, about determining the structure. Otherwise, you get to the end of the period and you realize that nothing happened. And that's why it's good to have a daily way, a weekly way of ensuring that productivity happens, so that you don't just get to the end of a whole month or a whole year and then realize that, wow, you guys didn't go halfway.
Fantastic. Because this is quite it's quite interesting. Also, and I remember that many years ago I had a conversation with someone, and that conversation actually uh, touched on the issue of remote working and virtual working. One of the concerns behind that is the productivity itself. Of course, COVID was not in the picture, so um, the possibility of it being a sustainable model was the question. And number two, the fear of people not being accountable, because one of the things that make for productivity is people being accountable for their time. They've been allotted time. They've been expected to have so number of man hours in a period, like a week. Especially when we look at the schools as well, we find out that teachers or educators are meant to do certain things. Let's use teachers for example. Teachers are expected to teach for a certain number of hours in a week, and if the supervision is poor, sometimes you find out that these people don't keep to the time allotted to them. They probably might not even use the time allotted to them effectively. So that's really a major thing, you know, which maybe I'll need to ask you, um, what would you say, um, what would you say about this remote working, and how do people get a hang over it?
Okay, so I think that if nothing else, COVID has made people see that remote work is actually possible and that you can still achieve some of the things you want to achieve while people are working remotely. But you see, it's for somebody to get a hang of it is about planning. It's about planning. So you don't have to Yes, you don't have to sit with your staff all day for your staff to do the work. Your staff might just be pretending that they are there doing the work, but they're not doing anything. So one of the ways to help ensure that this remote work um, is effective is to set out your deliverables per day or per week. What are the things you are expecting to see at the end of today? And you should set it out in such a way that there are consequences. People know that if you do this, this happens. If you don't do this, this happens. So that everybody now has to build their own sense of responsibility and build their own system of ensuring that it works. Because the truth is, you are not going to be in their houses to see whether they are doing it or not. So your own job is to create the system, create the structure so that they are going to know that, okay, at so and so time, this is what is expected of them. At so and so time, this is what is expected of them. Now, moving into the other side of the employee, an employee who has been given deliverables and you are working from home, you have to treat it like a business. So when you wake up in the morning, get up, have your bath, or prepare for your day. Just as if you are going to the office, prepare for your day, then go to your workstation. It is really important that you have a workstation, because there is something it does to your mind when you leave maybe your bed and then you go to your workstation. When you sit down there, your body knows that we did not come here to play, we came here to be serious. And so it just has a way of helping. So we're not asking you to have maybe an over fantastic workstation. Whatever you can afford, whatever suits your context, whatever you can improvise in your house, make sure you have a workstation, and make sure that this workstation is beautiful and comfortable. Yes, it has to be beautiful and comfortable so that you'll be encouraged to go there. If every time you go there you're having back pain, you will not want to go there. And that's the truth about it. So it will affect your productivity. You will not be able to deliver. And remember that your bosses have already put a structure in place. You need to deliver, and if you don't deliver, so you will now see that if you're not delivering, you'll be under pressure, you are scared, oh, you're not meeting up, you get into trouble, and you really do not need all that extra stress. Like 2020 has been stressful enough. You shouldn't be adding stress that can be managed. Okay, so it's very important that you plan ahead. Make your day look serious. Prepare as if you're actually going out to work. Go to your workstation, do the work you need to do. Of course, take breaks, but make sure that every time you're at your workstation, you do the work that you're supposed to do, so that you have something tangible to show for how you have spent your time. And cut out distraction. For so many people, when they're at their workstation, their phone, they are checking all social media platforms, they are doing so many other things they're not supposed to be doing. See, if you know that your phone is a distraction to you, there are several ways to ensure that it is not a distraction to you. There are certain apps that you can use to block you from checking your social media every time. And also, good old fashioned method is go and keep the phone in another room away from your workstation, so that if you really have to get a phone, it means you have to stand up. And when you realize that I'm not supposed to stand up, you will sit down at your workstation and do what you're supposed to do. So again, it all boils down to personal discipline. Very, very important.
Thank you so much. And while you were speaking, and Titi joined us. Titi, good morning. Welcome to the show. Yeah.
Hello!
Good morning, Mrs.
Good
Adelsi.
morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Good morning, Rotimi, Safety Chick. Good morning, how are you?
I'm
I'm
very
very
well,
well.
thank you.
Okay. So Titi, we're talking about having a productive workforce, and Gochi was kind enough to share the introductory part of it, and we're able to identify some areas that people need to look at to ensure that they explore having productive workforce. And I want to ask you, how have you been able to drive this as an individual? Because apart from all the points that Ogochi has said, for some people just have this. The hindrance to them is they just feel that it doesn't work for them. How can they work without seeing the people? Um, some people are just stuck on that reality of FaceTime. So, Titi, what's your take on that?
Honestly, that's anytime I listen to entrepreneurs speak and of their issues are always people issues. They're always around their workforce, they're always around their staff. They're always, talking about from various angles. But I think the bottom line is, how do I get my staff to be more productive? So I'll tell you some of the practical things that I feel work. I think the first thing is that you need to have a process for, you know, what they call onboarding new staff. Don't let it be informal. So, for instance, in our company, we have a list of, immediately you come in, I just have a list of documents that we send to you. Bam, for you to go through, for you to catch up in terms of what it is. We also have what we've done like a training program, which means that if you come into the games development team, there are a group of um, presentation slides that you can go through that can help you say how what the process flow is, what you need to do, things like that. Uh, so just to make you more productive when you come. Typically, if you come for the first 1 or 2 days, we just let you play our various games so that you can see the end product, and you're then familiar with what's expected of you. Another thing that also helps, I find out, is a very important training that we do regularly, and that's what's called time management. Honestly, if you're out there, I would tell you, go and buy Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog. It's a very small book, so that people won't complain that it's going to take you forever to read. And the concept of Eat That Frog is time management, whereby it always says the secret of productivity is to eat the frog first. You know what the frog is? The frog is your most important task. If you start your day and you come in and you start, checking emails, doing other small things, you find that they are less productive. But if you come and start your day and say the most important thing is to prepare this presentation slide, and that's what you do first, you find that you're more productive. So it talks about being productive. It talks about apart from your most important tasks, there are some tasks that you need to delegate. So there's something that it mustn't be you. And that's something people don't realize. You know how it is. If you are the head of a section, rather than that's what you do, there's some tasks that you can actually delegate to other people, which means that once you give them a checklist, you then say, okay, you go and do this, because you, as the more senior person, your time is of more value to them. So it talks about what tasks you need to delegate, what tasks are important but not urgent. So it helps break down, and that's what I find that a lot of people are not able to do. Understand that, when you have a list of once is more than one, you need to be able to prioritize which one is that frog, which one is the most important thing, what's the priority on what I need to do. And then also, when you're also assigning things to people, you also need to let them know, oh, I've given you 3 things, but that number 2 is more important. And then always give timelines. We can just say, oh, go and prepare that report. But you need to make a conscious effort of always saying, is due by, this is when I need to have it ready. So I think those are some of the things practical things that we need to, make as a part of us to make us more productive. Help the new staff, help them through the process of, these are the steps to take. This is what you should do first. Help them have the skills that they need as well. Have regular check-ins, because I realize that if someone's meant to do something and you give the person a due date of tomorrow, don't wait till tomorrow to check in. Halfway where you feel the person should be halfway, check in on the person and say, oh, I just want to check in, how are you doing? Do you have any challenges? Don't wait till when it is due because when you wait till when it is due, you're setting yourself up for so I think for me, that's what I've just seen in a nutshell. You need to keep, and you also need to keep seeing what are the things that don't allow your staff to be productive. So every time someone doesn't meet a target, our question is always, what are your challenges? Some people, you can find that the challenges are so easy that you can help them sort it out. Some challenges, oh, my laptop always does this. Then let's try and solve the issue with your laptop. Oh, we have light problems, like doing the remote learning. Then maybe you should explore what are the other sources of light in your area, or if you want to come to the office and be getting your source of light. So we always need to, it's not a final destination. It's a process that you need to keep reiterating. You need to keep finding out what's stopping them from being motivated. Productive. Safety tips I've thought about, the one that distraction. A lot of people are not disciplined. They can gist for Africa, and that is very African. We like to gist. They can gist. Sometimes they go for long lunch. The place where they're going to go and buy their lunch is like 30 minutes away because the food there is cheaper. So there's so many things that also take away take away their time. For some people, especially people that work in some areas, they feel that because no matter what, their boss will insist that they close late. They just drag the time, because the boss likes to close late. I think those things as well. You need to let the people know that if you finish your work, oh boy, you're free to go home, so that people that like are very good at being productive are quickly productive and get it over and done with. The person that likes to stretch, they can stretch, but define deadlines, define timelines when certain tasks need to be ready. Let me stop here.
All right, thank you so much. That's very, very illustrative in nature. You've also helped to shape. One of the things that I normally like to stress is that for every task there has to be allotment to that task. So there has to be a time. Sometimes if you don't time yourself, you take longer hours than required to do some things, no matter how important they are. But then you mentioned that time quadrant, and I really want us to, take it up a bit. How do we use that urgent, important, not urgent, not important? How do we really place task in that priority kind of format? Would you like to help us, Titi and Gochi?
I
Maybe
didn't
I
get that.
ask Titi to start since Titi.
You say, how do we
That the
place what?
time that is important thing for them to explain, where you are able to identify tasks and place them as okay, this is urgent, this is not urgent, this is important but not urgent, this is urgent but not important. How do you get to navigate to use work in that perspective in allotting time to those things?
Oh,
I
okay.
think that Mr.
Okay.
Deusi mentioned that when she was speaking, when she was saying that as the boss, that you have to, when you tell the staff this is what you're supposed to, you can tell them, for example, number two, if the most important one first, because if you keep doing all those small ones, time is going, and then you've not even done the major thing you're supposed to do. So I think that bosses can also help by highlighting the most important of the various tasks that the employee has been assigned, so that those ones know that that's like the major deliverable, followed by others.
Yeah. Yes. There's something called the ABCDE technique. And it's something that everyone should practice. It says that this is something that is very important. Your A tasks are things that are very important. You must do them. If you don't do them, there are serious consequences. So these are your A tasks, and your A tasks are the ones that are defined as your fraud. Okay. Now, B tasks are something you should do. It has mild consequences. These ones are your B task. And what should happen is that you don't work on your B task till you finished your A task. Because A tasks are the most, they have, how it is that even for every business, there's that thing that will give you the greatest impact in your business. And those things are your A task. And it said always work on them first. You get. So for instance, when you look at someone that is teaching in class, let's say the teaching is the most important thing, but how it is, you can take attendance. Attendance is important. You can get the student to feel certain things. It's also important. It has consequence, but the one that has the most important consequence is A. So if you are running late and you start with A, attendance, yes, you ideally should take it at the beginning, but you know what, you can take it at the end, because it has mild consequences compared to A. And so that's what it says. A is what you do first, B is what you do next. Now C is something that is nice to do but has no real consequence. Those are your C tasks. So let's say, for instance, getting the children to jump up and down and getting their energy level high is a So it is a nice to do. Do you understand? It makes the class more engaging and all that, but it has no consequence if you don't do it. So if you are behind, you have to do your A task, and then the C is them. Then D is something you delegate. D is something you delegate. So let me take, for instance, you're meant to drop a report. You're going to go and send drop a letter for a client. You know that D now is such that your dispatch can do it. You physically don't have to go there. There's no real value in your going there to drop it physically at the client's so those are tasks that you delegate, that they need to be done, but it doesn't have to be you doing it. Someone else can do it because it frees up your time to be able to work on your A tasks. Everybody needs to look through their task list and say, what are your D tasks? The ones that you quickly delegate, that you want to. And then E is something you eliminate. So D and E are easy to remember because D means delegate, E means eliminate. There's some things that we put on our to-do list. You know, it's you don't finish your work, you want to go and do O and bear, you want to go and do this, you want to go. You can eliminate those things though. That's what your D tasks are. So that's just the thing. The idea is that you need to focus on the thing that gives you the greatest impact. I don't know how many people have heard of the 80-20 rule. In the end, it's really 20% of what you do that gives you 80% of the results. So you always have to continually focus on doing that 20%. For some of us, you know how it is. If you're in a marketing role, it's really, really, really about pushing out marketing, because that's what gets you your customers in the door, as against actually doing the work. In the beginning, it's getting your customers in the door. So every day you come, before you get distracted with operational work, you have to say, have I done the marketing that brings in the customers into the door? So that's really the technique. And of course, more importantly is that distraction thing. I think the whole idea is just planning. When you every day you come, have your to-do list and then plan before you just rush into it. So when you sit down, have a list of your to-dos, you have to then tell yourself what's the priority, what are the deadlines. So I won't do something that the deadline is in 5 days when I have something that the deadline is tomorrow. It's just a thing of being able to prioritize which one is A, which one is B, which one is C, and which one is D and E. Hey, my cousin has sneaked into the building.
Hi, KK in the house.
Morning, Mrs. Ajayi.
KK, the fashionist educator.
I'll go behind the camera, behind the picture.
Yes, sir.
KK, good morning. Welcome to the show. And we are on the Good Morning Education Show. If you join us and you're listening to us, thank you for joining. This is the Good Morning Education Show. We're streaming from Lagos to Africa and Africa to the entire world. And we're speaking about having a productive workforce. TT has been able to share a very fantastic model, which really will help people carry out their task in meaningful ways, watching out for the things that they need to watch out for. And then as we continue on the conversation, I normally realize that a lot of us have different perception about time. And because of that, sometimes you hear some things that we say and we just laugh over it, but it just speaks to our perception about time. So you hear someone say that, oh, Titi, hold on a second. Or can you hold on for a second? And if you look at it in literal terms, a second is so short that after you mention hold on for a second, then the time is up. And this is also how we carry this reality into work, into life, into the things that we do. We tend to have a very short perception or wrong perception of time. And that sometimes gives us that perception that there's always time, or there's time for something. When is that thing? Maybe is on Friday. Oh, when is that thing? Is next weekend. And that next weekend that looks so far, you just find out that it's staring you in the face, staring you in the face. So I believe that is a very, very good place for us to all dwell on. I normally would recommend that just for people to keep on saying, and I'm sure KK will be familiar with this, the concept of there's not enough time. As a teacher, as an educator, you don't have time for anything. You don't have time for your life. You don't have time for anything. Even to sleep, you don't have time. But sometimes when you just tell people to carry out a time audit, you find out that some of these statements, there's no time, there's no time, there's no time. You really find out that there are dead times in between these people's conversation. Active hours are just there, but then there are many times, if you start from when you wake up in the morning and then begin to plug everything you actually have to do, you discover that a lot of time lags, a lot of dead times exist. KK, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? This concept of I don't have time. We're trying to build a productive workforce.
Oh,
You know.
yeah, I agree. There's a lot of dead time which we do not account for. Now, whilst it takes a lot of discipline to actually account for most or the 80 to 85% of your entire day, it is an activity that I believe that a lot of us need to be more deliberate about. You need to just know what you need to do. And it comes from, again, I think we talked about that last week. We talked about targets. We talked about prioritizing. We talked about the importance of focus. And I remember when I joined the conversation, Titi was talking about the importance of planning. And it's critical that we get into that space of actually planning our day. The reality is in the education space, you come in and you find out that the plans that you made for Friday, for example, when you, or yeah, Thursday, you come in on Friday morning and things have changed because it's such a dynamic workspace. But regardless, having a plan helps you stay on track in terms of finishing up the activities that you need to do and taking on new ones if possible. What I would just say is do a workflow audit and pen it down, put pen to paper and say, what am I doing at 9 o'clock? What am I doing at 8 o'clock? How long is this going to take me? And when we're more deliberate about the length of time it takes for us to get one task done, then we can begin to shave off at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, and almost like we're buying more time for ourselves and for the other activities that we feel we don't have time for. But first and foremost, I would like to throw in there that it starts with your mindset. If you feel you don't have time, then you will not have time because something will take up the time that it is that you feel you don't have. So if it's important enough, you would find time for it, or you would excuse your inefficiencies. That's for me that's how it has always been. Because personally, I'm always very pressed for time, but I still find a way to get all the things that I do. And sometimes it's just the simple art of delegating. The fact that it needs to get done doesn't mean it has to be done by me. It could be somebody else that needs to get it done. And if somebody else has to get it done, then as long as it gets done, I enable and empower the person who needs to do it to do it. Yeah, and we need to learn how to respect time. We're not very respectful of time. And one of the reasons why people are not very respectful of time is because they do not put time in the language of money. If you put time and equate it to money, you would use it a lot more wisely. But we just look at it as it's time, it's 9 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock. It's not 9 o'clock, it's not 3 o'clock. It's productive time that would, in business sense, move you to either, and money again, I'm not talking about naira and kobo that you are spending. Money is so much more than that. Yeah, so we need to begin to have that very healthy and respectful relationship with time. Also, when you respect your time a lot more, there's some things that you just will not permit. So let me give you an example. Somebody called me last weekend and said, "Oh, KK, do you have time to brainstorm?" And I said, "Brainstorm." Oh, she said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, so what exactly are we brainstorming?" And she mentioned it. I said, "Look, I don't have a problem brainstorming with you, but it's going to take me 1.5 hours at the least, and I'm going to have to bill you for that time." And I told her how much it was going to cost me to sit down with her and brainstorm an idea to move your business forward. Now, it was up to her to take it or not, but I was not going to squeeze in. I mean, that was going to cost me less sleep for me to take that, spend an hour and a half brainstorming ideas with you on things that you needed to do to move your business forward. So if I wasn't getting paid for it, so why should I lose 1 hour of sleep, go to sleep at midnight instead of sleeping at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. So we need to begin to look at it and say, what am I missing out simply because I didn't do this, or simply because I did this? And if we begin to look at our time as a commodity and not just as something tick-tock on the round face, then we would be more, we would do a lot more with it, in a nutshell. All right, thanks.
Rotimi, I want to add to what Keke has said. I just want to give practical ways in which I use my dead time. So let me give 3 examples. Number 1, when I'm going to do my hair in the salon, that's dead time, but I use that time to read. So I take the book that I've been planning to read, all these books that I've been planning to read, and I take it with me to the salon. So for me, that dead time, I've turned it into productive time. I'm using it to read. I'm using it to learn, advance my knowledge. Another thing is, a second one is driving to work and driving in traffic. When I'm the only one in my car, where I'm the one driving, before I used to get irritated with traffic and all that. But you know what? I then turned that traffic time into a prayer or worship time. So when I'm in my car, I put on my music, I'm praising God, I'm praying. So if it takes me long, I would say, oh, thank God I was able to spend so much time with God. If it takes me short, I say, the devil doesn't want me to pray long. That's why he cleared the road. That's why he cleared the road so that there will be no traffic for me to enjoy my Lord. So I turned that dead time, that I couldn't really do anything about, into productive time. When I'm not the one driving, and let's say, I have my driver that is driving, I also use traffic time to catch up with people. When I've had a busy day, I used to spend my time, calling my family. So my brother could always tell me, Titi, you're in traffic, Abi. Because I found that, those other distractions at work, which is calling and keeping up with people, I could do that during those 2 dead time, when I'm going to work and when I'm coming back, because that typically can be a 30 to 1 hour. So I'm calling people. It was Safety Chick's birthday. She's my friend. I can't just send her text message. I call her during that period. So they're just things that, those dead times that we think we can't do anything about, there are some of those things that we can use to claim back productivity. When I'm in my serious fitness mode, sometimes I use that period of going for a walk, a 1 hour walk, and combine it with praying. So it becomes a 2-in-1 time. So I'm using it to catch up on fitness, and that means I've saved back that extra 1 hour. So I think as we talk about dead time, each person needs to say, what are those dead times? So people tell me, oh, madam, I was in traffic for so. Why not get download messages and audiobooks onto your phone, so that you can use that time to be learning, be improving yourself. Just look for, if you have a lot of dead time when you can't use, like that one of going to sit down in someone's office waiting for them. I also always plan for those times as well, where I can then be productive doing something. So it's important that we look at the dead times in our life that we don't have control over, and see how do we claim them back by doing something productive. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And while you were speaking, we have Eben. Eben is in the building. Eben, good morning. Say good morning to everyone, please.
Whoa, hi, Eben.
Good morning, KK. Good morning, Naija Kid. Good morning, Safety Chicks. Good morning. I've actually been enjoying myself with what KK has been saying since, and also Naija Kids also. I think it is a day to learn something new today. That's why I've just been quiet, Good morning, Mr. Rotimi.
So you've turned Titi's name to Naija Kids.
Wow.
Mr. Rotimi,
what's your identity? What's your identity?
Naija Kid.
All right, so it's getting interesting. We've had so many versions and so many perspectives, but I want us to also drill this conversation further. Having a productive workforce, and I am of that belief that also in the pursuit of productivity, we must learn to declutter. What other things can we find in our work and in our routine that over a period of time we need to question their essence? Are these elements in our routine essential? Can they be, decluttered? Can they be unbundled? Especially talking about the education space and the school routine. So many times, most of the things that happen within a school system is more of routine. 70 to 80% of work in schools are routine based. And there are possibilities where there must be some decluttering, you know. I'm gonna throw these questions first to KK, and then I'm coming to Eben, and then I'm coming to Ugochi and Titi.
So, Rotimi, if
KK.
I understand your question again, it's how can we be more productive?
Yes, but then in the context of decluttering, so many times some of the routine-based things we do, we might have not even stopped to think about if they are still as relevant and if we can cut out to have more time.
Okay, great. So I think I'll look at it from two angles: the professional and personal. So office and inside the house. Yeah. So office, in terms of decluttering, you need to look at your workflow processes, and that's very important. When you begin to look at your workflow processes, you can find out, first of all, are they jobs that you needed to have combined to be more efficient in your work? Are they, so let me give you a very classic example. So we have basic technology and we have ICT. Now, if you look at the curriculum for year 10, which is the JSC, the JSS class, the Becker class, the theoretical aspect of computer is so tiny, So why should I have a full subject or do it 2 or 3 times a week? I can actually just combine it with basic tech because there are elements that flow across both subjects. That way, it is more effective because they are learning they have a deeper basic tech time and a better computer time as well. So it's almost like killing two birds with one stone. So begin to look through your time at work, begin to look through your workflow processes, begin to look through all those meetings. And instead of sitting down in a meeting and calling everybody together, can we not just send a message and have everybody maybe go on what's this thing that we use? Can't remember right now. And everybody just pens their thoughts down there. So we need to begin to look at that. What are things that we can merge together? And it's again, it boils down to economies of I don't want to say economies of scale. It boils down to just what makes sense really, and what is culture, And then in my personal life, sometimes I want dead time, and it's okay for me to say I want dead time. I take the dead time like that, right? But like Titi said, there are times where I'm going to. So I hated to read ebooks because my phone is just tiny and I don't like tablets. But I've had to tell myself, look, KK, you're going to have to read ebooks. So a lot of the books that I would read generally, because again, my eyes are not as good as they used to. So I need to help myself. So what I've done generally is I have ebooks. So when I'm in the salon, I'm reading my ebooks. Sometimes because I know that I don't want to go and sit down in the salon, I may choose to wear a wig for that week because I just don't have the time to go to the salon. So it's us being true to ourselves and really asking ourselves, what do I need to be doing at this time, and how can I make it more productive for myself? And sacrifices also comes in there, both in the workplace and the personal space. There are some sacrifices that you're going to have to make so that you can develop a good work culture, a good work habit, a good habits of mind. And if we're not ready to make those sacrifices, then you're going to find out that it might get more and more difficult. For example, if I need to sacrifice my time to mentor and coach a new member of staff so that I don't have to do the job that they have been employed to do, I'm going to have to sacrifice that time because I can see that long term, then I have a bit more time on my hands. All right, thank you. You are muted, Mr. Rowe.
Eben, what are your thoughts on that? Thank you very much.
Being productive is a very big subject matter, and it is something that someone have to just focus on regardless of what is around you. Like someone like me now, there are some time that I will just find that I'm not doing anything at all. I'm not doing anything at all. The next thing I will just do is to just go on YouTube, just type any subject matter and just look for a way to discover so many things around my area of specialization. And productivity is something that you don't just learn them alone, you also practice them. So time to practice is one of the major concerns to so many of us. Also, I'm also part of them, because we have time to discover, we have time for discovery, but we don't have time to actually put those discovery into reality. Almost every morning I discover new things, especially when I'm going to actually take my bath. When I get there, the moment I just add that, just pour that water on my head, the next thing is I'm going to be thinking. Even they will need to come and call me there that, hello, it is not a time to think, especially when brushing my teeth. So many of those time I've actually discovered that there are times that I actually discover a lot. I like audiobook. Audiobook has actually been one of the best method of learning to me. I can't do without audio. I go to Instagram to listen to people. I go to so many online space that I can actually find something to just learn from. Even sometimes I would just type some content that I know that I need to read some of these contents. I will type them. After typing them, I will take them to a particular application I use. Then from that application, it will turn everything into audio, because I observe that I learn more from that audio. So my advice to everyone, just like for someone to be productive, you have to look for your area of strength. You have to look for the area that will make you to understand the subject matter better. And being productive is a very wide subject matter, and we have to try as much as possible, because it is our it is our core that we must be productive. So we have to try our best as much as possible to make sure that we get a lot out of what we have around us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to alter the question quickly for TT and safety check, because what Eben mentioned is quite powerful. A lot of people do these things, but they don't know that they do it, and that's the power of the having a me time. I would like Ugochi and Titi to dwell on that, starting with Ugochi. What, where, and how can we get people to be conscious of this me time? This me time is almost like a personalized routine that you integrate. It has given us fantastic examples. But, judging from what Eben has mentioned, it's very important for us to see how we can put the leverage on our me time. So, Ugochi, over to you quickly.
Okay, so I'll just start from what Mrs. Ajayi mentioned, where she said that she likes to have some dead time, and it is so, so important. It is important that we do not fill up our entire schedule. We should leave out spots of free time. I remember that when the lockdown was, in full bloom, and I was invited to speak on several platforms, and people thought I was so busy. But the truth is, I looked busy on the outside, but even I knew that there were times I was not busy. I was busy sleeping. I was busy just lying down in my house because I knew that it was important to me. So I always leave spots of free time because, when you have those spots of free time, you're able to reflect. You are able to think, okay, oh, this happened. Oh, this is what it means. Okay, this is what it means for the future. Okay, this is what needs to be done. You see that in that the thing is, we are just too busy in this generation. We're always doing one thing, we're always doing something. So it takes that period of silence, that period of not doing anything, to now begin to draw lines across. So I have to say that it's really important that we create those times. When you are going to the bathroom, when events talked about the bathroom, I smiled because almost everyone, if they actually pay attention, you realize that you get ideas in the bathroom. You do a lot of reflecting. But again, some people are even too fast. They are rushing to bathe. They are rushing. Everything is a rush. When everything is always a rush, you won't even have time to settle down and think. And you really need to think, because when you take those spots of free time to think, you would actually find easier ways to do what you are trying to do. Less stressful ways, as a matter of fact. So look around your day. I know you say you are busy, but the truth is, if you look through your day, you will find that there are many times that you are just on your device scrolling mindlessly on social media. So it's as good as dropping that device and using that time to just think, reflect, journal, write a to-do list, plan. So as we've talked about product, some people have never written a to-do list in their life. They just wake up and go with the flow. And going with the flow means at the end of the day, they may not have done some things they were supposed to, because there was no plan really at the beginning. And then, of course, they've also touched on the traffic. There was a time that when I was driving was my worship and prayer time. My car was anointed. So that was the time I would use to do all those things. So it's really important to know what you're trying to do. Look for the spots of free time and then use it to just renew yourself, think, plan, learn. It's in those times that you would have what we call serendipity moments where one thing would link to one thing and then it will lead you to find something. And then all of a sudden, various ideas come together and then you're able to achieve something that had been on your mind for so long. So please don't fill up everywhere with work, 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 work. Leave some time to just lie down. Sometimes you might lie down to sleep and sleep is not coming. Use that time to just think, reflect. What can you do better? What is another way to do this thing? What book can you read? Just use that time to think. Reflecting is very, very important.
Thank you so much. I want to ask Titi to not let's take it a notch higher. And where this will now lead us to will be the concept of leave, of leisure. Leave and leisure. You know, sometimes I've had a scenario where some organizations would actually score you low in appraisal if you didn't take your leave for the year. For some other people, they don't mind just to monetize the leave and they just keep working, working, working. In fact, I heard of a particular company that if you don't take your leave, then they feel that probably there's something amiss. You're trying to either sit in to cover something that is wrong or something like that. You know, so how do we begin to explore the leave culture, or better still, the leisure culture? Because we might not all have that disposition or opportunity, especially for teachers and educators. But how can we leverage that when it comes to leisure? You know, most people don't even hang out. Most people hanging out is alien to them. Sitting out is alien to them. You know, going out to take a breather is alien to them. Picnics are alien to them. How do we leverage on that, Titi?
I think Safety Chick has said a lot, of some of what I want to say. I hope I won't sound like a broken record. But I think when God created us, He created us that, having a rest is really part of our makeup. And if you don't have it, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So you know how it is, 6 days you will work, on the seventh day you need to rest. So it means that every week you must have periods of rest. If you're not resting, you're not as productive as you need to be. So I think it's important that people learn to rest. And Safety Chick, said, he's saying resting is not, don't try and fill up all your time. So some people, once they are resting, it means they're going from one party to the other, one outing to the other, one seminar to the other, one conference to the other. No. Sometimes just having that time where you're doing nothing, doing some of the things that you enjoy doing. I like watching TV, honestly. I like reading romance novels. Surprise, surprise. you know. Oh my goodness. Um, and then hanging out with friends, they're just things I like. Eating too, so those are some of the things I use my real dead time to do. But I think it's important you have that. Your body needs to recharge. I think your brain needs to recharge. um we are really more productive in a state of rest. I was laughing when Eben said the thing about the bathroom, and Safety Chick said, I'm like, maybe it's all of us so that have all these, bathroom bathroom brainwaves. It's all of us that have all this bathroom brainwaves, because I'm always like, why is it when I'm brushing my teeth, when I can't rush to go and take my notepad and quickly write the idea, at least after my my bath, I forget everything, or you're about to pour water. So I could appreciate a lot of what he said. And it's important. Honestly, it's just too important. Sometimes recharging is about reading. When you take time out to read, to go and listen to other people talk, it's a time of refreshing when it's not you, when you're not doing the grind. And it's important. So when I think of educators out there, I always say that the school should not plan all your holidays, where they make it compulsory for you to come and do summer school and all those things during the holiday. I think it's something they should make optional for people that want to earn more. And even when they make it optional, I think it's also important that they give time before and after. So, like you have the 3 months long break and school finished now, there must be like that 3 weeks break before the summer camp starts. And even when the summer camps end, it still needs to leave that intentional time between then and when the teachers have to resume, where it's dead time. There's nothing planned. You're not planning seminars, teachings. You just have to have that time that is important for your teachers, people to rest. Even you as the school owner, there's a lot of burden on school owners, to keep the wheels grind. You need to take that time out. You need to take that time out, and you have to help everyone really plan that time where they go rest, refresh. Don't fill it with courses, don't fill it with learning, don't fill it with meetings, don't fill it with summer school. Just the same way with parents, that don't plan your child's holiday from the beginning to the end. Let there be a time where they can do anything they want. 3 weeks of doing nothing. You understand? Where it's okay, where they can watch TV from morning to night. People just need sometimes that complete, unstructured, restful, do anything you want. And I think we as business owners, we as leaders, we as management need to help implement that in the lives of people that we're in contact with, or we have control, so to speak, over that. Let's help them rest. Some people don't know how to rest. So, like my office, we closed down in December. We don't do anything in December. In December, we close down for 2 weeks at the minimum, 3. Just at this year, I don't know with how this year, how we had plenty rest earlier on. I don't know how this year is, but typically, typically we just shut down. And in that period, there's no work, there's no, So I start telling people where the office officially closes from December 18th. We are not available till January. I think we're resuming on the January 11th or something like that. So people, you just plan everything around it. It has to be intentional. People have to go on their vacation. I really don't like this year. We didn't go on vacation because of all that happened. The vacation was given somehow. We didn't go, but we've had to walk a marathon towards the end of the year. We need to recharge. I need to recharge. I need to be ready for January. So during that period, it's a wonderful time of just family, no worries, no cares. And everybody needs to have that. And not just towards the end of the year. You need to have that periodically throughout the year.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been very informative and reflective. I normally even used to tell for people like us that are busy as well. We can always put those placements in between the busy schedule. Sometimes when I'm interstate and I have opportunity to pick where I will stay, I try to look at it. The hotel I'm staying has a swimming pool, so that while I might be standing and busy speaking all day, the moment the training is over, I come back to the hotel and I take a dip, have some strokes, and swim for a while, then eat, and then you feel refreshed. And in some cases, sometimes just to sit down, have a laugh, go for a
Yeah.
buffet, sit down and wait at the table. There's just this energy and fun when you eat and you don't stand up immediately. I don't know whether you felt that ritual
Yes,
before.
yes.
It's amazing. Speaking over empty plates is
Chew
a
your food.
speaker's ritual. Eh, so it's something that you could also try to leverage on. But by and large, what we're trying to say is that we must make sure that we get productive. And someone asked a question, which we'll use to close the show. How do we intentionally create leisure time into our school culture? This is Okoji, Florence Okoji, all the way from Satellite Town. She's asking, how do we intentionally? So I believe that that question will naturally go to KK. KK, that's your parting short question.
So, hi, sorry, I went out for a bit. A call came through. So, when you say leisure time, I'm trying to understand, does she mean break time for the teachers or just time where you just, everybody has a chill time? Yeah. So, if it's break time for the teachers, so one thing that we did was we said, look, if we make your break time, it might not work for you. So, let us know what time you guys want to go on break and how you want to go on break. And then admin then work with them to make it work. Yeah. So, that's one way we did it. But in terms of leisure time, what we do is once in a while we just take time off and just go and hang out. Once in a while we just, so we are intentional about bonding as a people. Sometimes it's when there's somebody going away. Sometimes it's just a Christmas period. So the times, because of the way COVID-19 has been, it's been tough this year. But generally, we try and just, when we're creating the timetable or the calendar for the year, we build in that time from the beginning. That's the only way that we can get away with it. Because if we're looking for it when the school term has started, you're not going to find the time. So I would advise, build whatever free spare time you want to within the school year. So think about your midterm breaks. Think about before the school ends. Think about after the school has closed for the term. Think about those time periods and use them, because at the end of the day, of course, you don't want curriculum and learning to suffer. So look for those time periods and then build it in. That's if you're just talking about leisure time. Yeah, because I mean, you are accountable and have a responsibility to your community. Yes, so that's what I would advise, because that's what I do.
Thank you so much. And Ugochi and Titi, let's have your last words on the show today.
So I'll just say that for you to be a productive person, either as an employer or as an employee, you've got to be disciplined and you've got to be really deliberate about your time. So as much as you are disciplined and you're deliberate and you have all your schedules, don't forget to keep spots of free time so that you can reflect, so that you can refresh yourself. And you must know what are your energy charges and your energy drainers. When you know your energy charges, when you begin to feel low, charge yourself up. Don't wait until you are totally down out, and it's most time it's very difficult to come out from there. So just know when your energy begins to go down and make use of your energy chargers. And if you know your energy drainers, please run away from them, keep them as far away from you as possible, because the life is already stressful. You don't need you really don't need to be draining the energy that you have. So I think that's really important to ensure productivity.
Ugochi, you need to come and get some charging. Over to you.
I think for me to be productive and to help everyone around you to be productive, everybody needs to have a to-do list. They need to learn how to prioritize that to-do list. They need to learn how to set deadlines on all the things that are in those to-do lists. They need to, use the ABCDE method. But most importantly, always do eat your frog first. Do the most when you start your day, start it with the most important task. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Titi. And I'm going to end with just a little addition to what Titi said. Do list. For every to-do list, there must be a to-be list. So don't just have a to-do list, back it up with a to-be list, right? And once you're having that, I'm sure that every other thing will be fine. We've had a great time today. Thank you to all those who joined, those who sent in their comments. Mrs. Okoji, thank you. Adebayo, thank you. Ever Support Teaching, also thank you. And so many people that joined the show today. It's been a great time today, and I know that we'll be coming your way next week with something bigger, greater, and better. But till then, make sure that you keep having a productive day and productive weekend as well. And of course, like we say, on the Good Morning Education Show. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. We say bye, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.